right, wrestling maniacs, this one is for you. Let me hit you with the truth. If you are not wearing Ruuds, you are not serious about winning. Ruuds is the #1 brand of wrestling shoe in the sport of wrestling. That's why they're worn by Jordan Burroughs, Kyle Snyder, and Spencer Lee. The best, trust Ruuds. And you want to know why? Because Ruuds is built for the best. Ruuds makes cutting-edge wrestling shoes, putting performance first. Ruuds prioritizes features that enhance traction, flexibility, and they do it all with a lightweight construction. You will move like lightning, and your opponent will eat mat. And Ruuds training shoes are built to support the hardest workers in the gym and beyond. But hold on, that's not all Ruuds offers. Their gear can take a beating. From military-grade backpacks to premium sweat-wicking apparel, you need gear that is tougher than your training, and this is Ruuds' specialty. Now for my listeners, here's the deal. You get 20% off your entire order if you use the code CHAEL20 at checkout. Do not miss out. Step on the mat ready or step out. It's your move. Go to Ruuds.com right now to get ready, or just click on the link below. You can't have an injury after a fight, whether you won or lose. You can't bring it up after the fight. I mean, I find it to be one of the more underhanded things that we do. If you're covering for a loss because you were hurt, but you say it after the fight, like I know what you're going for, but that's the problem with it. If you have any excuse and or story, but it's transparent and people can see what you're really doing, why don't you just come out and say it? Why don't you say the words, I lost or I underperformed because I was injured, and if it was not for that, things would have been closer. I mean, that's the problem. That is the story, and that is the message that you're putting out without putting it out. It's cowardly. On top of being underhanded and unsportsmanlike. On top of having a built-in implication that your opponent felt 100%. There is no such thing. That is the strangest thing. I mean, that is such an amazingly awesome concept. I would not even know that feel. To feel 100. I wouldn't even know what that's like, but neither would any of the athletes. So when one side comes out and says it, it's a problem from a PR standpoint. And if you had lost, your transparent story is that it could have been better. If you won, that's where I have the real problem with it, because now you're being mean. Now you're coming down to being a poor sport. Right, and there is a level of sportsmanship, but there's an order. In youth sports, in Little League, in Pee Wee, it's all the time. But in professional sports, it's only after the fact. Before it, it's marketing, it's promotion, your storytelling. Not all stories are nice. Now, I share that with you because if you win and you come out and you claim injury, what is it that you want people to believe? That you would have beat him worse? You would have beat him faster. It would have been even less competitive. That's the part that's unsportsmanlike. Now, I'm going to tell you a story of Alex Pereira, but he's not telling you the story. That's the difference here. This is not coming from him. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story of being behind the scenes, of being out in Salt Lake all week to bring you guys information. And there are certain things that you do not discuss. It would not be my business to give you an injury report on somebody else. That'd be very inappropriate if I found that out from behind the scenes knowledge and or access. But it's important for me to tell you this for a very different reason, which is the leadership that Alex Pereira is showing, he won't be credited for. We don't have a team captain within the UFC. But you do have leaders. And I feel and maintain amongst several glaring problems the sport of boxing has. But when your leaders are poor, when your model and example makers set bad examples, they're still leaders, right? Floyd Mayweather, who's done a number of things very well, but as far as the industry goes, he has only looked out for #1, and he is still a leader. So the moment you get a guy with a little bit of rub that looks up to Mayweather, he starts copying that, which is he's leading and he's pulling everybody down. And I just mean that from a competitive standpoint. Amateur Floyd, who fought 8 times a year, 15 times in 1 year, to professional Floyd, where there is not a time, no matter the year, no matter the exception, no matter the circumstance, there is not a time where he made that walk more than twice. but then you lead. And then you have these other guys that come in here, and then they also don't perform. So when you have somebody like Pereira that guys are looking to, it really is the example that will help our sport. It will help our industry. It'll help a company that he's with. Pereira was hurt, guys. And Pereira was also sick. Now, I'm not arguing for you that Roundtree wasn't those things. Please, allow me to separate these two. This is not about the fight. It's about something else. And Pereira is the least experienced guy on the card, not just main card. There was nobody on the card, particularly including the curtain jerkers, because I happen to remember that one, Tim Means and Court McGee. Jiminy Christmas, 58 fights between them. He's the most inexperienced guy on the card. Amateur, pro, any way that you want to do it. He is 10-2. He is not a black belt in anything. And in case you want to correct me and tell you that Glover gave him a black belt, I think that you know what I mean. We haven't been told about it. That would have had to be very recent. Least minutes, least rounds on the entire card. Nobody has done this less. But he's the one setting the example. So he's in Brazil. He doesn't feel good. He has a round of antibiotics. He goes home. He says nothing to anybody. He doesn't even miss a practice. And he gets hit again. He's got to go back in. He's got to get another round of antibiotics. He had a toe injury from either 300 or International Fight Weekend, but it begins flaring up again. And it's a ligament in the toe. Oh, my goodness. That hurts. Toes and fingers, guys. You wouldn't think that of all your... Oh, they hurt. He's got ribs. His ribs are bugging him. So they tell the UFC ahead of time, we're going to Salt Lake. But we don't know if he can fight. So we're going to give you a heads up now. If you want to plan this, we will give you on good faith, we're going to try. To prove we're going to try, we've done a training camp that can be confirmed by Glover. We're in striking distance with our diet and nutrition, which can be confirmed by anybody. We're going to make the trip. We are going to be like, good faith, UFC. We're going to try, but we need to let you know. We have information, and we want to share it if you want to adjust. So the UFC says, look, the card is strong enough, and we have another title on the card. You take care of yourself. Stay in communication with us. But we're not going to go and do a Hail Mary and bring in a backup fighter. We will simply adjust the card and move one title fight up a spot. Okay, great. But it's a very big deal that this information and everything that I just shared with you was stated ahead of time. It didn't come public. It didn't come public because that could take away from Roundtree, not because it could take away from the promotion and or the marketing. Guys, particularly top guys, love to feather their nest. They love to have an excuse and something to fall. It didn't happen that way, and I'm sharing it with you now. I think it's relevant. I think it's irrelevant for who is he. Because the ones that are going to beat Pierre are going to find something. And they're going to have to be a great. That's going to have to be a Jon Jones, right? That's going to have to be a Stipe Miocic. But they're going to have to find something. And it can be a crack within the armor in many different places. How does he deal with adversity? How does he deal with pressure? How does he deal with travel? Can this guy fight on the road? Can he only fight at home? There's a number of things, and you start to look at it, you start to study, then you start to find a way to exploit it. It's where you get your confidence from. You sell yourself on the idea that I know something that is yet to be revealed. And it's very hard to find with Pereira. It's very hard. We all knew X's and O's and stylistically how to beat him. Take him down and keep him there. From day one, we've known that. But it hadn't been done yet. And when you do find about his ability to overcome adversity, that was such a big deal in 2 different fights now. He's only had 12 fights, 2 different fights, Roundtree and Adesanya. He was losing. He was losing the fights going into the championship rounds. It's not just a conditioning issue. But this is what a fighter does. And that term has been corrupted over my lifetime. For somebody that can go beat somebody up really badly, that's called aggression. A fighter is when it's coming at you, when you're down a round, when you're down 2 rounds, when you've been knocked off your feet. And Rule 101 says, if you're losing a fight on your feet, take him down. You might fail. You try to take him down. You try to change the realm. That is one of the most basic things that Hoist taught us in 1993. Alex Pereira is the only person who's not done that. He didn't try to change the realm when Adesanya was put into him on his feet. He didn't try to change the realm when Roundtree took it to him and was beating him on his feet. He had confidence. He believed in himself. He gets stronger as the night goes on. These things are very rare. He's somebody that can overcome adversity. That's what a true fighter does.